Wedding bells won't be ringing today for same-sex couples in California now that the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals has reversed a lower court order, putting a hold on all same-sex marriages until it hears the full appeal later this year. This has been an emotional and legal roller coaster for all involved, certainly including the couples, but also the high-profile legal team that won the lower court ruling overturning the ban on same-sex unions. So joining me now to take us behind the scenes, former Bush Solicitor General Ted Olson, who along with David Boies won that argument. It was a huge victory. Now it's on hold. You expected this stay, and now what happens?
Well, we did expect that the Court of Appeals would probably decide, let's just keep everything as it is until we get a chance to decide this case on the merits. The Court of Appeals out in California gave us an accelerated briefing schedule. We'll be arguing the case before that court in early December. That's what we've been anxious to have all along, is a full hearing on the merits and a decision promptly.
Now, with the expectation by many that this could go all the way eventually to the Supreme Court, there are some who say that tactically it's better not to have the Supreme Court being asked to intervene on the stay issue, as it would have been potentially next week or this week if marriages had been permitted, so that if it does get to the Supreme Court, it would be a full argument on all of the merits. In the long run, is it really better for people advocating, as you do, that this be a legal right?
Well, we think that we made an awfully strong case in the trial court in San Francisco. It was a 3-week trial. We put on 17 witnesses, including experts from all over the world. The judge rendered a 136-page comprehensive opinion discussing all of the issues on both sides and ruling on them.
You're being kind, because he very flatly rejected and disparaged the arguments by your adversaries here.
He found that the evidence, the witnesses that our opponents put on had no credibility. They weren't qualified to testify on the subjects that they offered testimony about, and he didn't believe that the evidence that they put forward. In other words, this judge gave it a comprehensive hearing on both sides and ruled squarely in our favor. That's the record. If this does go to the Supreme Court, that's the record we're very happy to defend.
Now, we know you as the winning litigant before the Supreme Court in Bush v. Gore. You were the Solicitor General also then in George W. Bush's administration. So you come to this from a conservative perspective, but a conservative perspective believing in this right.
David Boies, who's working on this case with me, is one of the finest lawyers.
You are the
in
odd
America.
couple. You were the adversaries on Bush v. Gore.
Well, we're odd in the sense that we were on opposite sides in that one very important case, but we're close friends, we're colleagues. I have great admiration for him. First thing I did when I was asked to handle this case is I invited David Boies to join me in this case, because we wanted to send this message. It is not a conservative issue or a liberal issue. It doesn't involve Republicans or Democrats. It involves equality, justice, and what could be, at the end of the day, more conservative than two loving people that want to get married, that want to build a family, that want to be part of our neighborhoods and our community. That is a conservative value. I don't think that the American people should think of this as conservative or liberal. The American people should think, and I think in a growing number are thinking of this as our friends and our neighbors, and equality and justice, and treating people with equality and respect and decency.
And let me ask you another question on a difficult subject for you. Your wife, Barbara Olson, your first wife, died on 9/11 in the plane that went into the Pentagon. How do you feel about this mosque that has been designated for within some blocks of Lower Manhattan of Ground Zero?
Well, it may not make me popular with some people, but I think probably the president was right about this. I do believe that people of all religions have a right to build edifices or structures or places of religious worship or study where the community allows them to do it under zoning laws and that sort of thing, and that we don't want to turn an act of hate against us by extremists into an act of intolerance for people of religious faith. And I don't think it should be a political issue. It shouldn't be a Republican or Democratic issue either. I believe Governor Christie from New Jersey said it well, that this should not be in that political partisan marketplace.
Ted, let me finally ask you, as one of the premier lawyers in the country, what would you do if you were the prosecutor in the Blagojevich case, and here a jury really soundly rejects your arguments They didn't even put on a defense, and now there's so much publicity. How do you get another trial, another jury impaneled, and is it the right thing to proceed and go after him again?
Well, I wouldn't want to second guess the prosecutor. This man Fitzgerald is someone that's spent a lot of time on this. Now, I would want to know what. The jury didn't decide in favor of Blagojevich. It was a hung jury. So
right.
there was, and in some counts, there was apparently only one juror that held out. If I was the prosecutor, I'd want to find out what was wrong. What did certain members of the jury not believe or not accept with respect to the burden of persuasion, which is beyond a reasonable doubt, from the case that I put on before I made any judgments. But it's not easy, and the prosecutor can't be happy.
No, this is not a victory for Mr. Fitzgerald, indeed. Thank you very much, Ted Olson. It is very good to see you.
It's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you, Andrea.